he betrayed a lot of people's trust, and that's how he was able to, um, kill those women and get those women to trust him because they thought that they knew him. Me, my oldest son, Glenn, my niece, Santis, which is Siobhan's oldest daughter, and my goddaughter, Nene. We was all at my house. We was in the dining room just talking, and I received a phone call, and when I answered the phone, it was my mom, and she was saying, Siobhan, she's gone. And I'm like, what? And then she was like, I can't do this. And then somebody else got on the phone, and then they told me, they was like, they found Siobhan's body in Harold's Chicken on 113th in Michigan. And then I just started screaming, and I ran into my closet, and I just started praying, because the first thing that came in my mind was my mom. I knew this was going to be real difficult for her, and so I just started praying. I started praying, and then while praying, it's like I zoned out, but all of a sudden I was woken up to my son screaming. And at this point, my son was grown. I haven't heard him cry since he was a kid, so that startled me, and that woke me up. And then I went in there, and I was just trying to calm him down, because I know at this time, Santis asking what happened, and but I didn't want to tell her, so we left, went to the on our way, going to the Harold's Chicken on 113th, which was abandoned. On our way to that destination, I was like blank. But when I looked in the sky, I saw my sister. She had like this curly hair. She had this real big, pretty smile, and she looked really beautiful. So all I remember is seeing her face, and I don't remember like what did I turn left? Did I turn right? Did I get off on 112? Did I get off on, like, all I remember was seeing her face. So I know that this was nothing but God giving me peace. So once I got there, I saw my oldest brother, and then I saw my mom, and there was a lady like next to her hugging her, and I went and we hugged each other, and then it was a lot of people out there, so we stood there until they brought the body out.
So you went to the scene?
Yes, we went to the scene. So once they brought the body out, they had her covered, and they were saying somebody from the family got to come and identify the body. So me and my older brother, we went to the location. My mom we didn't want her to go. She couldn't go. And when we got to the location, I still was, hopeful that this probably wasn't her. In the back, I'm just praying like, God, let this be a mistake. Let this not be her, But something in my gut kind of told me that, it was. So they put her face over the screen, and of course it was her, and she just looked like she was sleeping. Mm-hmm. She looked like she was sleeping, and everybody, we got the crying, and we left, and we had to tell my mom, like, yes, it's absolutely her. And so I'm trying to wrap my mind about how I'm going to do this.
Well, before we get to that, could you tell me, like, when you saw her, what they say happened to her? How did she pass?
So when I saw her, and when we talked to the police, they said they found her naked. They said she was strangled. That's what they think the cause of death is. They did say that they have to, do an autopsy, and she was raped. They said they didn't have any leads at that point, and you know, um, and then they was asking us questions about her, like, who do you think that, do we know anybody that want to do this to her? She was in bad relationships, and we like, no, like, my sister grew up in the streets, but everybody loved her. Like she was loved by, everybody, so we didn't know like who would do this, you know. So that's what we was told. Of course, they said they'll get in contact with us if they hear anything. And at this point, we was just completely oblivious of who could do. We could not wrap our mind about like who could do something like this. Like, so my brother was going. He just want to kill everybody. He don't. Not knowing who it was, he just, everybody went through their own like grieving process. Yeah. So
after this, y'all went through with the funeral and everybody had their emotions and everything. How long was it before you got that call from the detective?
The time span, it wasn't within a couple of months. When we got the call saying that I had apprehended the guy who did this, they told us that they got his DNA, so they're absolutely sure that this is the person that did it. They got his DNA. They said that he tried to do this with two other women and they lived, so they identified him, and they also found the DNA on other women that had passed away. So.
Okay. And just to elaborate a little bit more on the guy, who is the guy and what role? Why? So it sounded like it was a guy that she trusted.
Yes. So his name is Michael Johnson. He was a guy that he went to church. He did outreach, so he knew all the people that the gang members, street people, that women of the night, everybody. He knew everybody. He always portrayed like he was that type of guy that helped protect the women and watch out for the kids and looked out for everybody. So the neighborhood, they trusted him. Like everybody knew him as the nice guy that that helped people. He betrayed a lot of people's trust, and that's how he was able to kill those women and get those women to trust him, because they thought that they knew him. But
So they labeled him as like a serial killer.
Yes, he was.
Did they tell you estimate of how many women that he killed? And what area? That's the Roseland area, right?
Yes.
So he was that's the area that he targeted for the women.
Yes, that's the area he lived in. That's the area he grew up in, and he targeted women in that area.
So once y'all found out that it was this man and he targeted the other women, what happened after that?
So the shocking part was that my mama knew him. My mama knew him. He actually came to my mama's house with Siobhan before, and she just was like, really like surprised, and so that was the first thing that we was surprised about. And then the way that the women that the women that came out and told their story that helped put him away, it was just so courageous for them to do that. They knew Siobhan. They did it because of her, and I just commend them. I commend them. When you grew up in the streets, it's hard. You know, people want we grew up with street justice, so it's not like, you know, call the police. It's like, you know, and one of the women, that's what she wanted. She wanted street justice. She didn't, you know, it wasn't no going to no police. She was like, you know, when we see him, you know, my sons is going to, you know, kill him, you know. So she wasn't going to know. It wasn't
And so that's how he got caught. How he
yes.
get caught?
So he got caught because her son, she saw him, went back and told her grown sons, and then they caught him and they you know, beat him up, and then they called the police.
Okay.
And the only reason she said she called the police because she knew, like, he was the guy who did that to Siobhan, and you know, I don't know. I just commend her. You know, I just commend her.
So I know you was able to go to court.
Yes.
And so what did the guy that's labeled as a serial killer, what did he try? He pled not guilty.
Yeah, he tried to say that Siobhan was his girlfriend and he wouldn't do that. Like, all the other women lied on him, and like, he had a relationship with my sister and he would never do that with, you know, he was trying to say it was consensual with her. But everybody else was, you know, telling us they was lying on him. So
And you said even his child mother.
Yeah, his child mother went on stand, and she was so adamant. It was freaky. It was scary to see that, how she it's like she was fighting for him tooth and nails, like he could never do this. And it was just eerie because you know he ain't nobody gonna put no DNA, no, you know, his DNA on no, you know, dead women body. You know what, like, how can you convince yourself like this is not the truth, like, you know. But
so what was his excuse to why he target women, what they were saying for his defendant?
So his lawyer was saying that he grew up in abusive. His mom was on drugs, and she was a prostitute, and took him on dates with her, and he had like this hatred against women, and he had mental problems, and he's not a monster. He's just, you know, this is the environment. This is the card he was dealt with, and you know, it was a mental problem. It's not something that he really wanted to do. But
and what? How many years they gave him?
They gave him 99 years.
Do you feel like justice was done?
I do. I feel like he's where he belongs. I'm glad they caught him, you know, so this couldn't happen to more, you know, to stop this from happening to more women. So, yeah.
I mean, because this is not something that you hear often. Like, what year this happened?
2010.
Right. So this like a Roseland serial killer. Like, this not something you hear often, and a lot of more Black and brown people have to speak up about these stories. So I thank you for getting on here just to express your story about your sister and being able to go to court and see what they have to say and just reliving that moment. So I do want to ask, with losing your sister and just getting a view of the court system, even with him trying to plead that he's not guilty, how have you been able to just cope with this situation, just to keep your head sane and just keep going, moving with life and stuff?
Well, God, definitely God. You know, her legacy, her daughter, my great, you know, I'm the grandmother as well, so my granddaughter, you know, even her sons, you know, just seeing I could see Siobhan in them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could literally see Siobhan in them. And doing this wasn't easy. I don't like to talk, especially in front. But I do want to make awareness to women. Just for them to, you trust watch your surroundings and trust the God's discernment. God give us discernment for a reason, and it's been so many times I have even ignored it and had to learn the hard way. So I just want to make women aware that we could be sleeping with the enemy. We could be the enemy could be right next to us and not know. And so we got to really take heed and follow our gut and our heart and everybody, and just get a good relationship with God so he can lead you. So, you can, he can give you, I don't know, give you some insight on
No, that's good.
how to, protect yourself,
Yeah.
So.
No, that's good. That's good. Cause everybody got, what worked for them and what works for their mental health. So you giving your suggestion of what worked for you, and I respect that. Well, I thank you so much for being on the show. I thank you for making this awareness to women, whether whether it's a vulnerable population of women or just women in general. This is something that could happen to anybody, mama, sister, niece. So I appreciate you getting on this platform and expressing yourself and your story. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me
today.